Mnangagwa's Prekebo farm act like a parallel, I mean, state house in Zimbabwe, and it act as a state house that is safe for Mnangagwa and specifically his Zikanandas and those with close proximity to him. Days leading to, I think over the weekend, we have seen reports of JOC members, that is Joint Operation Command meeting at the Prekebo farm of Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa. According to this publication that I'm reading at the moment, they are of the view that these members of the JOC National Joint Operation Command went to the Prekebo farm of Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, and Mnangagwa taking with them to demonstrate to the faction of retired General Chiwenga that he has the support of the military. But the mind-boggling question is, does he has the ultimate, does all military personnel support Mnangagwa? That is the question. Remember, Blessed Keza, when he revealed that there are some commanders that have been paid some monies, as well as some ministers, he underscored that there is, however, a progressive force within the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. So this demonstrates beyond reasonable doubt that the security cluster would be divided over Mnangagwa's constitutional amendment bill number 3 of 2026. We expect the debates to start from and we will see how events will unfold as of today. Let me read where I took this story from, but before I do that, let me greet and welcome you to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one. So amid rising political tensions as retired army commanders and some war veterans seethe with anger at President Emerson Mnangagwa for purportedly betraying their November 2017 coup mission when they ousted the late former President Robert Mugabe. The president over the weekend met security ministers and top service chiefs under the Joint Operations Command rubric to restore shaken confidence and show his rivals, led by Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, a retired military general, that he has the full backing of the military. A JOC member has told the Newshawks. The army remains the main arbiter and power broker in the Zimbabwe, despite current attempts to curtail that influence through constitutional amendments. The meeting at the President's Prekebo farm in Kwekwe, Midlands, where important decisions are made, came amid agitation among army retired commanders and war veterans protesting Mnangagwa's 2030 political project and their inclusion from the feeding through after the coup. The retired generals and war veterans aligned with Chiwenga have heavily resisted the constitutional changes. They are leveraging litigation to prove that an incumbent president cannot legally benefit from a term extension. A recent constitutional court hearing into war veterans' application challenging Mnangagwa's 2030 political agenda ended with a reserved judgment. More court cases have been filed, apart from not getting much from the coup spoils. The generals, most of whom were allies of the late former army commander Solomon Mchuru, are agitated as they now support Chiwenga in a bid to get a second bite of the cherry. Those who attended the meeting at Mnangagwa's farm included Defense Minister Opam Kashiri, State Security Minister Lovemore Matuke, Home Affairs Minister Kazembe, Zimbabwe Defense Forces Commander General Emmanuel Matatu, Zimbabwe National Army Commander Lieutenant General Aisha Walter Tafumane, Air Force of Zimbabwe, Air Marshal Jacob John Nzende, and others. A JOC member who attended the meeting said, officially, the president was hosting ministers and top security service chiefs for a farm tour to see ongoing agricultural activities and review Zimbabwe's drive towards food security. It was presented as a normal farm visit, just like many others before it. But our intelligence clearly shows that it was a political gathering. Unofficial, it was a major and a critical meeting to show solidarity, power, force, and send a message to our former colleagues led by retired Air Marshal Henry Muchena. They also say it was about exploring rural industrialization and strengthen the working relationship between the Commander-in-Chief and the nation's security leadership. As we now know, President Mnangagwa met with Muchena and 8 other military generals and senior civil servants on May 18 and 19 to discuss the current political and security situation around the country in the context of Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, the 2030 agenda, and a presidential term extension. The meeting was tense and did not end well. Mnangagwa told the generals, let the chips fall where they may, whoever wins, wins. Muchena confirmed this in public. This means Mnangagwa is on a collision course with the retired generals. The main vulnerability Mnangagwa currently has is the ongoing succession in fighting, associated internal strife and factionalism. Chiwenga maintains immense historical and current loyalties among mid to lower ranks of the military and retains the critical support of Liberation War veterans. While Chiwenga's leverage remains his deep military roots and influence, he has been largely neutralized through changing the army command element and patronage, offering commanders incentives, houses, cars, and money. Although Chiwenga's presidential ambition faced major setback, it has not been entirely thwarted, with his political fate currently hinging on a high-stake succession battle within ZANU-PF. Now, the political landscape remains highly contested as Mnangagwa has moved to consolidate power and stay longer through a series of political, electoral, and governance changes. Mnangagwa has systematically coup-proofed his administration by demoting Chiwenga, aligned army chief, and reorganized army, police, and intelligence directorates. Patronage is also part of Mnangagwa's weapons to neutralize Chiwenga. The president has distributed hundreds of vehicles and other state benefits directly to military commanders to secure the loyalty of the armed forces. Since transitioning from his role as Zimbabwe Defense Forces commander into a civilianized political post as vice president, Chiwenga has been subjected to party structures and lost his direct day-to-day command over the troops, which he used to oust Mugabe in 2017 and put Mnangagwa in power. Mnangagwa has systematically weakened Chiwenga through targeted military purges, constitutional amendments, and strategic patronage among appointments. Since the 2017 coup that brought him to power, Mnangagwa has pivoted Zimbabwe's power structure away from military dominance, marginalized Chiwenga's influence, and solidified the presidency. In November 2017, the military executed bloodless coup, codenamed Operation Restore Legacy, to oust time dictator Mugabe. But the leadership question remained unsettled. Chiwenga, the then Zimbabwe Defense Forces commander, spearheaded the intervention, creating conditions for Mnangagwa's ascendance. At the time, an understanding was reportedly in place. Mnangagwa would serve a single term and then hand power over to Chiwenga. However, his fragile alliance quickly deteriorated and unraveled as Mnangagwa moved to consolidate his authority and retained the presidency for 2 terms. Now, with a 2-year extension, which has alarmed and angered Chiwenga even more. As a result, deadly attacks and counterattacks have happened after the coup as Mnangagwa and Chiwenga tried to outmaneuver each other, including the June 2018 grenade attack at White City Stadium in Bulawayo that was targeted at the president, the January 2019 foiled coup plot, and the subsequent poisoning of the vice president. Recognizing the military was the key power broker, Mnangagwa's first major move was to dismantle Chiwenga's institutional support base. Mnangagwa forced the retirement of several key Chiwenga loyalists. He strategically reassigned other influential military figures who had been instrumental in the coup to diplomatic posts outside the country. The deaths of prominent military veterans due to illness and other things further diminished the core group of Chiwenga's allies. Additionally, Mnangagwa removed Chiwenga's direct oversight of the military of defense, moving him to a strategic role. Mnangagwa also utilized constitutional and political reforms to secure his position. He introduced constitutional amendments that altered presidential running mate clause, ensuring Chiwenga could not serve as his automatic successor. Now, current constitutional amendments ensure he stays longer in power to manage his succession and block Chiwenga. Mnangagwa later promoted loyalists within both the state and ZANU-PF's party decision-making bodies. Now the political landscape has shifted towards a highly contested push by Mnangagwa's supporters to amend the constitution and extend his rule until 2030, a move fiercely opposed by Chiwenga's faction. Beyond structural changes, Mnangagwa strengthened his own patronage network. He elevated civilian business elites aligned with his faction by bypassing the traditional military establishment. Chiwenga publicly and privately pushed back against this, citing the rampant corruption to Mnangagwa's allies. This intensifying internal struggle was severely fractured. Has severely fractured the ruling party rather. However, through tactical appointments and restructuring of party organs, Mnangagwa has continually placed loyalists in positions designed to counter Chiwenga's influence. The trajectory of politics since 2017 is defined by an ongoing power struggle between Mnangagwa and his deputy Chiwenga. While Chiwenga was the kingmaker who brought Mnangagwa to power, the president has systematically outmaneuvered him by neutralizing his military allies, reshaping the constitutional and expanding a civilian patronage network. While Chiwenga maintains residual support, Mnangagwa's tactical consolidation has effectively relegated the military faction to a defensive position, ensuring his political supremacy, dominance over his rival, and deeper entrenchment in power. This is news hawks. Sometimes when doing political analysis, it's very important to also put into perspective other ideas or other approaches by certain individuals. So this would be a crucial week. Beginning from today. Today, the Parliament is expected to actually continue with the process of amending the Constitution. We wait to see whether this will continue without opposition. We saw last week there was intensification of death threats. Even moving towards the weekend, there was a lot of drama. So we expect more, especially from today going onwards. This may be also a deciding week, but let's wait and see. Mnangagwa has been playing a long game. He doesn't also trust his cards. He plays them very, very slow. It was intended this bill to be done last week, but it had to be postponed up to this week. We saw him meeting with National Joint Operation Command. To me, it shows a president who is shaken, but wait and see, and most probably we are going to hear why they made the just watch the space, and we're still waiting for the signal from Knox Chivero. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the subscribe button. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Okancubo Mhlabane is signing off. Let me love and leave you. Let's meet on the other side of